Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the MotoKart.com FIA Karting European Championships here live from the Circuito Internazionale Napoli in Sarno. It is done with all the qualifying heats. We are now heading in to the super heats and we'll be kick-starting with KZ2 Masters and, of course, KZ that'll be heading out onto the circuit. Myself, Anthony Jordan, Nicole Sutherland in the box. We've had a very busy start to the day. 2 more races to go before we start a full day of super heats and finals tomorrow and Sunday.
Well, it's been a spectacular showdown so far this morning, and it's not going to stop there. Like you said, 2 more to go at KZ2 Masters and at KZ's for their super heats. KZ2 Masters will be up first. It's their only super heat, 12 laps, 20 kilometers of absolute heat. We're here down at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, and it is a whopping 33 degrees out there on the track. We'll be led by Davide Foray on that front row, joined by Angelo Lombardo, and this is going to be an absolutely spectacular super heat, Anthony Jordan.
It certainly will do. But there on your screen, starting this one a little bit further back in the order, Mirko Mizzoni, who did have drama at the start of the weekend with time qualifying, but we caught up with him right at the beginning of the weekend. Here's what the Italian had to say.
You've proven yourself as one of the fastest drivers in a qualifying scenario, like your pole at Wackersdorf and again in Val Vibrata. On this high-speed track like Sarno, how do you balance that 1-lap speed with the consistency needed over long races and finals?
Salve a tutti, sì, abbiamo avuto un'ottima velocità sia a Wackersdorf che l'anno scorso a Val Vibrata. È ovvio che siamo adesso su un tracciato molto diverso e speriamo di poterci ripetere con tutto l'augurio che si può fare, chiaramente.
You've impressed in places like Le Mans, where you had no prior experience. How do you approach adapting quickly to a technical circuit, again, like here in Sarno? And does your experience give you an edge in these situations?
Ma allora, Le Mans è un circuito veramente perfetto, tracciato e curato nei minimi dettagli, quindi un'esperienza unica, direi. Oggi ci troviamo su un circuito molto più difficile come Sarno, dove l'asfalto ha diversi disconnessi e quindi è molto difficile gestire i sobbalzi del telaio e inoltre le temperature sono molto alte, quindi è ancora più difficile, ecco.
You've come heartbreakingly close to podiums at top-level Masters events. Coming into a race weekend here, is the focus still on just a pole position, or are you still looking for that really big result, like a P1 in the final?
Beh, speriamo di essere lì tra i migliori, come ci auguriamo. È ovvio che il livello della Master è salito molto con l'abbassamento dell'età, quindi sarà ancora più difficile degli anni passati. Ma eccoci, siamo qui per lottare.
Really good to catch up there with Mirko Mizzoni, and like you said, at the start of this weekend was unfortunately DSQ'd from time qualifying, unfortunately, for working on the grid, which put him right to the back of the field. But his good results have put him into the mid-pack now. He's gone from the 16th row of the grid to now starting on the 10th row of the grid. And we'll go over that full results in a few moments time as the KZ2 Masters heads out on circuit for the first super heat of the weekend. 2 today, 2 tomorrow, before the 3 finals tomorrow as well. As let's take you through that full starting lineup then for the super heat for KZ2 Masters. It is Davide Foray after 2 wins and a 2nd place. He starts this on pole position. He is joined by Angelo Lombardo on row number 1. Antonio Piccioni and Christian Halblin go from row 2. They'll have Manuel Consiglio, the pole sitter from qualifying, unfortunately dropping back to the 3rd row of the grid with Alessio Lamartina for company alongside. Riccardo Nallon, last year's European champion, now steps up to the 4th row of the grid with Samuel Gaffner alongside. Emanuele Simonetti and Fabio Bafulco go from row number 5. Andrea Tonelli and Daniel Bray go from row 6. They'll have Andrea Nicastro and Sirio Constantini on row 7 with Ludovic Medet and Fabio Vacca, who ran out the first half of the field on row 8.
Row number 9 includes Patrick Lloydell and Roberto Falco. We questioned where Mirko Mizzoni was after that poor qualifying, and it is on 19th alongside Ricardo Melas on row number 10. 11 looks like Adam Matucci alongside Andrea Spagni, and from 12 we have Aurelian Ray with Mark Volhauser. 13 includes Mathieu Cochin with Gregory Leder. it's France versus Sweden, Switzerland. And then from 14, we have Antonello Cifelli with Alfio Messina. 15 includes Emanuele Villani with Augusto Pucci. And going from 16, rounding out your grid for the KZ2 Master Superheats, we have Valerio Giambattista with Sebastian Leder.
Well, again, a packed field, 32 of the finest KZ2 Masters drivers from around the world here ready to go racing. I say one driver making his way to the grid very quickly out my commentary box window. Davide Fore is already on the scene on the front grid, where second place is just making its way around the final corner now. So he's going to have a long time waiting there, but he's got a clear track now to lay some rubber down on the circuit. There is Davide Fore, just putting himself in the last few spots with those tyres, getting up to temperature. He pulls into his slot now, checks over his shoulder and sees absolutely no one else there. He's got a long time to wait on that P1 spot, but nevertheless, he has been nailing the starts of these races, and I'm sure he'd like to continue that trend in this one. For Antonio Piccioni, who starts right behind him on that yellow TK Kart Factory Team machine, he's in a really good spot here, the same positions he's been starting all of those races earlier on this weekend. For Angelo Lombardo, he has stepped up to the front row of the field now, and his starts have been pretty exciting over the course of the weekend so far. But let's see how he deals with the pressure of the Superheat here. There is your front row, primed and ready, as the last of the field just slotting into place. Valerio Giambattista just pulling into spots as the field is ready to rock and roll and to go racing. As the lights start, procedure begins as we get ready to drop a gear and disappear in KZ2 Masters. It's a beautiful start for Lombardo. Sweeps around the outside, catches Davide Fore sleeping there at the start of that race, and Christian Halblin has got into second place as well. Fore may have been sitting there just a little bit too long, and did those tyres cool down just that little bit too much as they head out of turn number 3 into turn 4. It is a clean breakaway, and at the front here, Nicole, it's all fine and dandy, but at the back of the field, drama has struck, unfortunately, and it is Spagni once again out of the race. His weekend is going from bad to worse.
That is absolute drama for Spagni once again. Like you just said, Anthony, it was bad, and now it's even worse. Mid-pack battle going on then, but crucially, we have got your race leader starting to break away as your driver in second, which is Halblin, is being hustled hard now in that second position as they head out of turn number 9.
Second position.
And down second position.
Fights
Challenge is on into turn number 1, and Davide Fore snatches it off of Halblin, and that brings Petronia into the fight as well. It's a 3-kart train for this P2 battle out of turn number 2 and towards turn number 3. He was caught half asleep at the start, but Davide Fore has woken up now, and the next driver he's thinking about is going to be Lombardo out there leading the way in the front.
Yeah, but clear by a full second already. That's going to be a mighty difficult thing to do, especially when he's still going to have that pressure of those two drivers behind of Halblin and Piccioni, who are still right there behind. But we'll keep a close eye on it, and we'll keep an eye on those sector times as well, because while sector 1 on this lap, Lombardo was clear, but you can forgive that a little bit for Davide Fore. He did have to make an overtake through turn 1 on this lap. It's when we get through into sector 2, that's where we'll see the differences, but we're still not seeing a better performance from Davide Fore here. Lombardo is quicker, and the gap now extends to 1.2 seconds, despite the fact that Fore is breaking away from Lombardo. Lombardo is breaking away from the rest of them.
Kart underneath Lombardo then is absolutely dancing around him. He's taking on corner by corner and just perfecting it. Absolute surgical precision by him. Each sector is getting quicker and quicker. And like you said, Anthony, that gap is continuing to extend, and I think it's going to continue to extend as your midfield section, the likes of Halblin, Piccioni and Cosaglio, really start to battle it out now. Cosaglio, they're sat in 5th position, is your fastest driver, as we've got a challenge down into turn number 5. That's Halblin now.
Oh, no.
And they take each other out almost. Halblin goes for the move, gets it.
He's done, he's beached the kart. That will be going no further.
Ooh,
now the engine's still going.
He's got it going.
Oh, that's incredible. Now, fair
Drop the
play to
gears.
Christian Haublin. Yeah, indeed. He's going to tumble to the right, to the back of the field. He kept the engine going. That's amazing that he managed to get that one taken out of the gravel trap there at the exit. They whiz through under the gantry. You see the speeds here, but unfortunately, I suspect we might see something there. And where did Piccioni go? He dropped down to P5. There he is on your screen. So Cosaglio and Lamattina managed to get through. But is there going to be something heading towards Antonio Piccioni's way?
And Haublin, then you could see him in the seat when he was beached on the grass, just shuffling his way, trying to get off of that uneven surface and get it going, drop those gears, and off he went again. But that will be an absolutely detrimental points lost to the driver. Let's see a replay of that moment. So the challenge was on going into turn number 5.
It looked fine there.
Got overtaken, tried to cut back onto the racing line,
You know
and just
what?
actually went over the back.
It's hard to call on that one from that angle, but, you know, of course, for Piccioni, he was probably coming out wide, and then, of course, Haublin, he was wanting to get back on it. Fair play to him for giving it another go. Usually a driver would just kind of give up after the first time and think, oh, it's not going to go, is it? And then just get out, but he kept that one going. In his efforts, though, I thought he may have set fire to the grass, but no, I think another car's
turn
gone off.
number 1, drama.
Yeah, no, okay, it's all kicking off now. So we've got drama over at turn number 5. We've now got drama at turn number 1 as well.
Daniel Bray is involved in that, and it's Simonetti as well. So 2 of your drivers really far up in the sharp end, taking each other out, going through turn number 1. More incidents going on out there in the front end of your field, though, Anthony. It's all getting a bit busy as well in that mid-pack section, but we've lost some big hitters in this superheat so far.
Yeah, so Andrea Tonoli was another one of those drivers who we saw have dramas in the early stage of the race. Right, let's have a look at what happened at turn number 5. I think this is, this is turn 9, sorry. So this is the last corner. So there you can see Tonoli going off the track, I believe that is. Now, he tumbled down and out of the race, but then later at turn number 1, yes, you're right in saying Emanuele Simonetti and Daniel Bray both getting caught out. Bray still in the race, though, so good to see. Eyes on this one, though, and this is, I think, Eric Anaki further down in the order who is having a bit of a moment there. Now, this is Piccioni and the likes of Riccardo Nallon. Nallon getting that move done down the inside, turn number 9, moving up now into 5th place. So good little fights happening there. Right, now was that actually Mirko Mazzoni that I was having a look at there? Because he is now up 8 places in this race. He's got Vaca for company as well, who's up 6. But you've also got Gregory Ladar as well, who's on a 10-place gain. So plenty has happened then in those first few stages. And crucially to note, look at there at Piccioni's kart, and even more drama as soon as it all calms down. More drama unfolds. That's the other one of the TK kart machines going off. So that's Emanuele Villani, I think that is. So Villani's gone off the circuit. There, I think Cifelli's had a moment, Mellis and Bray again. They're all tumbling down the order. So multiple karts involved in another incident at turn number 5 as well. They are dropping like flies here. There is the 433 of Riccardo Mellis going very slowly and pulling into Parc Ferme. He's out of this race. All the meanwhile, what I was trying to say is I'm looking at the TK kart factory team of Antonio Piccioni and heavy dented damage to that radiator. But it's all kicking off in this Masters Superheat.
Well, this is a one competition championship. These drivers will only be with us this weekend, and it's almost as if somebody said to them during the lunch break, this is your one opportunity to give us a show, and they've been doing that so far. This is a race replay.
This is the radiator, yeah. Look at the damage to that one.
So the pipe has come off through that incident.
So that pipe there, that's nothing to worry about. It's more the radiator itself. The bracket has been dented in from what that contact that he had with, of course, Christian Haublin earlier on. That cart's just gone through, and there you can see there's Daniel Bray. He's now going to pull it off the circuit at the start-finish straight. He is out of this race. He's had too many dramas, I think, and that car has just decided, no, it's not going to work anymore. And he's thought, right, let's just save the car maybe for later on. Here is that moment down, and just under braking, just on the inside line, not what you want to see at all. Antonelli, Cifelli, unfortunately, getting caught out, and unfortunately that just started a ripple effect through the field, and drivers having to just get out of the way. And there was a just seemingly cutting the chicane. Okay, so that was the retirement from Riccardo Mellis. but he did do that by cutting half the circuit, so probably not going to look very well in the eyes of the officials. In the meanwhile, there is a race going on. Lombardo is leading that race. Davide Fore in second place is closing in now. The gap's down 0.6 of a second. This one, though, Cotacleo and La Martina, is the battle for third place on your screen, as now we will start to focus on the leaders once again. They've all seemed to have settled down a little bit here, but I'm going to keep an eye on the top two here, Nicole, because remember that gap was up to 1.2 seconds earlier on. It's down to 0.7 of a second. It's fluctuating, but it's closing.
Well, Davide Fore only about 1/10 of a lap faster than Lombardo, so currently as it stands, I don't think he's got the pace just yet to close 0.7 of a second, but don't count out in the KZ2 Masters category, as we've got drama out there once again. That's for one of the Maranellos out there on the circuit.
Do you know what? I think there's been another moment out there for multiple drivers, because I'm seeing here that Patrick Lloydell, I think, was our driver there putting into Parc Ferme. Fabio Bafuco as well as had drama, and I think all the drivers who are just diving through that one, Valerio Batista is just driving his way through the field, so I think there's been more dramas out there. 0.6
of a second is now the gap between Lombardo and Fore in first and second. As it stands, the pace by Fore I don't think is enough to catch, but you know, with the KZ2 Masters, with the KZ categories, it's so easy to make a mistake. It's so easy to drop a gear too early, too late, miss a gear. So don't count out that that gap could actually be caught. But as I says, it goes back up to 0.7 of a second. No change yet for that third position. Your drivers of Cotacleo and La Martina still battling it out there, heading through that second sector through turns number 8. They go now. No change just yet. La Martina still just sat there waiting for his moment to bite.
It certainly is. Well, I've got to say, some real drama in this one. We're still 2 laps to go in this race. We're down to just 21 runners here. We've lost 10 drivers in this race, more than 10 drivers in this race, which is a stark difference to what we've seen over the course of the weekend so far. So clearly something has happened between, well, their last qualifying heat and this super heat. But something, yeah, maybe something put in the water before the KZ2 Masters. But right now, still all in fine form at the front end, as Antonio Piccioni, now, despite that damage on the radiator, is starting to push his way back forward now with the fastest lap of the race. Eyes to the front here, though, and you've got the likes of Angelo Lombardo still in control of this race. However, the gap has come down to 0.4 of a second. Davide Fore is slowly closing in for the race lead. As you saw there very briefly, the biggest mover out there being once again Mirko Mitsoni. 11 places gained, is finding himself now in P8 and closing in on the front runners. So battle for the lead is strong. There was second place going through, second and third place, sorry, I should say, going through your screen, as it all looks fine and clear for the front runners. Final lap board is out. And for Lombardo, he is just holding off Davide Fore by half a second. Now for Fore, he does not need to overtake here. He would still claim another 25 championship points to his name going into that final later on. He will be starting on a pole position if he holds on to this second place. For Lombardo, he has done what he can. He is only 2 points shy from Davide Fore, but the problem is that he can't gain any more points here in P1. But he can only make sure that Fore goes backwards. But is everyone having drama? There is a big gap between themselves and third place. Out of the final corner, it will be Angelo Lombardo claiming the win in the superheat, but it will be Davide Fore on pole position for the final here in Sarno. Cotacleo finishes with his best results of the weekend. The pole sitter from qualifying with dramas earlier on takes away with a P3. Alessia La Martina finishes in P4 ahead of Antonio Piccioni, who finishes in P5. Riccardo Nallon from Samuel Gaffner. Mirko Mitsoni with an 11th place gain finishes in P8 ahead of Ludovic Badet. And Sirio Constantini rounds out the top 10. The drama is not over just yet, however. Another off at turn number 1 after the checker flag. Alfio Meneza, unfortunately, has ground to a halt at turn number 1, right beneath my commentary box position, and has that engine dramas for him right at the end, as he's facing the wrong way, and that is a big moment there for him at turn 1. There's a look then at your full classifications at the end of that one. The top 10 we've gone over. 11th place is Fabio Vacca from Andrea Nicastro. Adam Matigi finishing in 13th place ahead of Gregory Ladar, who gained 12 places to finish in P14. Roberto Profico ahead of Mark Vollhauser. Christian Haublin, unfortunately, after his dramas in that race, dropping to 17th place. Mato Koshab finishing in 18th ahead of Aurelian Ray. Alfio Messina finishing in 20th, despite the fact that his car lies stricken at turn number 1. Augusto Paci rounds out the 21 finishers in that race. There is Messina's kart there. The Maranello machine had broken at turn number 1. Thankfully, he did finish the race, but that was after the checkered flag, finishing in P20, unfortunately, so the checkered flag did go out for him. But crucially, a bit of damage there, and they'll be checking over that one to make sure it's all good, and those karts will have to be recovered. And we'll head back to Parc Fermé, and there's some words just happening there. Not too sure what it's about. I did see a phone come out and a picture being taken. I think that was possibly for a possible nose cone that is out there. That photo already coming out, but you can see the stricken wagon there as well of the 423 machine. Unfortunately, had drama right at the word go here. Emanuele Simonetti, unfortunately, tangling in a later stage of that race. Unfortunately, the start pretty clean for the field as they headed off in towards turn number 1. Good reactions for the outside row, Lombardo and Haublin getting into first and second. Davide Forde on that inside line, just not getting the power down right at the start, and unfortunately did drop down to 3rd place, but did recover back in that early stage of the race. Drama then unfolded really from the word go. Unfortunately, Andrea Spagni, his weekend going from bad to worse. Another bad result for him, dropping him down and out of the race, as Davide Forde got his first overtaking of the race, getting past Christian Haublin, pushing himself forward. Haublin then became under attack from the likes of Antonio Piccioni. Contact between the two of them, and spat out of the circuit was Christian Haublin. Amazingly managed to get it going, jumping it through the gears, just finding the right gear to be in, just releasing the kart from the gravel trap there, and amazingly recovering back to still a relatively decent result of P17. Still, despite the fact he dropped all the way down to 30th place at the early stages of that race. More dramas happened as well. I think Andrea Tonoli having moments there into the final corner. That's where it really kicked off a sort of chain reaction throughout the field. You saw the overtakes coming in, Ricardo Nallon getting past there, Antonio Piccioni as well, and Piccioni having to deal with that damaged radiator. Only dented in, you can see there the sort of runoff pipe for any overspill from the radiator there. That was just dangling away in the breeze. Spins as well further back in the field, unfortunately for Antonello Ciafelli, causing a chain reaction there at turn number 5, which unfortunately meant that we lost a handful more of other drivers. Emanuele Villani, I think Ricardo Meles also getting caught out there as well. Later, Daniel Bray would pull off the circuit. There was the 433 of Ricardo Meles, seemingly cutting half the track there to recover back to Parc Fermé. That might not sit too well in the eyes of the officials, but still brings that kart into a safe spot. Despite all the dramas, a race still ensued at the front, and it would go the way of Angelo Lombardo, the Maranello driver, taking his first win there in the superheats of the season. But his qualifying heat certainly delivered some good results as well. Davide Forde in second, will still secure, though, pole position for the final tomorrow. KZ2 Masters are done then until their final tomorrow, as we head down to Parc Fermé and to Nicole Sutherland.
Down in Parc Fermé, like you just said then, Anthony, and I'm with our race winner of Angelo Lombardo. Angelo, good racing out there. It was a great win, a big gap. Tell us about what it was like driving around.
È una bella gara, bellissima. Ci aspettiamo domani che ci sarà il risultato finale, il gran finale, insomma, domani. Però ringrazio tutti i ragazzi che sono con me, la Maranello, Viti, mia mamma, la mia compagna, mio fratello, tutti i ragazzi che sono qui venuti anche a vederci per un istante.
Well, great insights, and thank you very much, Angelo. Good win out there. Of course, the driver who will be on pole tomorrow for the final is none other than Davide Foray, who I'm going to get over. Davide, your racing goes back years. You started way back in the 1980s. You know, you're out there and you're still doing what you do best, which is winning, and you put it on pole for tomorrow. Great feeling?
Yeah. The feeling is good, but it's very, like I said before, it's very hard because the condition is extremely hard for everyone. Angelo is very fast, I know. I'm fast too, so it will be, I think, a nice battle tomorrow. But what we did, I think, until now, I think is wonderful. We started in pole. We did a good job. The team did a fantastic job for me. And first, I want to say thanks to EPK, to Praga, in particular to Peter, to SRP for the engine, to Fabian, to Mike Seebeck, my mechanic, all the staff inside to the Praga. They love me and I love the group. Of course, it's hard, very hard, but we are here for this, and will be what will be tomorrow. And because the race is, you know, you never know what can happen, but what is important is to show the material is really, really competitive, and that for me is a point of this weekend.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a competitive, feisty one. That's it from our Masters for today, but we've got one more group coming up, our KZs.
Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland down there in Parc Fermé. Yes, indeed, one more race to go today. KZ Superheat up next, and the question remains, can anyone beat the Frenchman? Mateusz Bourgel, who has dominated the course of this weekend so far, and is looking to continue that trend going into this superheat, and of course that final later on tomorrow. He will have Pedro Hilbrand for company once again on the front row of the grid. He has not managed to drop the Spaniard too far, and of course it's still very close in the championship as well. Of course, Pedro Hilbrand dominated in Valencia at the start of the season. Maximum points for him coming into this round in Sarno in Italy. But now we'll have to deal with the Frenchman who starts alongside. Italy's hopes and dreams, though, will be starting on the second row of the grid in this one, with two of them, Danilo Albanese and Giuseppe Palomba. They will be ones to keep an eye on, but there is your pole sitter, Mateusz Bourgel, dominating, like we're saying, in those qualifying heats. 3 wins out of 3, and he is looking to keep up that same momentum. There in the grandstand, Zoe Florescu in there watching along in the racing, and keeping an eye, I'm sure, on all of what we can expect to see in this one. I'm sure she'll be watching the likes of Pedro Hilbrand, who'll be starting on the front row of the grid of this one, maybe even Christian Batuca as well as Daniel Vasile, all Birolart drivers out there on the field. But plenty of action will be happening, I'm sure, over the next few moments. This race due to start at 15 past, which is now, so I suspect we'll be getting that whistle blowing and those carts heading out on circuit very, very soon. 17 drivers into this weekend for the KZ category, all of them vying for a chance of coming away with a European title, but of course they still have one more round to go in Mulsanne in Germany to figure that one out for the KZs as the engines fire up. Drivers make their way out onto the circuit. Let's quickly fire you through that full starting lineup then for the last race of the day. It is Mateusz Bourgel of France and Pedro Hilbrand on row number 1. They will have Danilo Albanese and Giuseppe Palomba on row number 2. All of these drivers have had brilliant results and have not been outside of the top 5 just yet. Tom Louillet has had some work to do, but he starts this one from the 3rd row of the grid and will be joined by Senna van Wolstein, who's had a much better start for this one after he qualified all the way down in 7th place. He now starts it on the 3rd row of the grid in P6. Row 4 sees David Trefilov and Daniel Vasile. They will have Christian Batuca and Emilian Denner, who will round out the first half of the field.
We, after Denner, have on row number 6, Francesco Salento with alongside Victor Gustafsson. From 7 is Lorenzo Camplese with Marion Kremers. And from 8, we have Giorgio Busoli with Jean Nomblot, who, of course, we've had some terrible luck for throughout the weekend. Didn't set qualifying lap, 2 DNFs, but then a P11 in the last heat. Your 9th row of things then, and on that 17th spot of the grid, we have Quentin Moria.
Right, well, all these drivers now for their last race of the day before their finals tomorrow. This is going to be an important one, of course, from what we just witnessed in the KZ2 Masters here, Nicole. The drama that ensued. Are we going to see something similar in this one? I do hope not. I do hope we get a good fight, but a clean fight to the end. Yeah, a clean fight to the end.
Well, this is your premium class in FIA and World Karting. These are your best of your best. They know how to race, they know how to overtake. So expect a busy one, but you know, you can't call it whether you're going to have that drama or not. But I think within this, you know, all the drivers, especially in those top 4 rows, are more than capable of putting on a show for us.
Oh, definitely so. That's, I think, an understatement on that one. Mechanic stands fills up with spectators and the mechanics alike. Of course, they'll be heading over to the pit wall as well here at the circuit, keeping an eye on everything. Multiple grandstands involved here, and I will say that my hotel room is in between 2 of those grandstands. It's a very unique layout here at the Sarno circuit, but gotta say, I am a big fan of the place. Air temperature, 35 degrees. It is getting hotter, Nicole, as the day goes on, but it is the last race of the day, and for these drivers now, it's just a case of give us that good show, ready for that final tomorrow. Mateusz Bożel, really, it's his to lose in this one. All he needs to do is do lights to flag like he's done throughout the course of the weekend, and he's got maximum points, and he starts top pole for that final.
He said in his interview post-heat earlier on, it's all to do with that race start. Can he replicate what he's already done so far throughout his heats? Really jump at the start, bolt to that first corner and take it and be dominant, but he's got some big names. He's got some big hitters around him, of course. Hiltbrand is alongside him. Albanese is right behind. And your 2024 world champion, of course, sat in the Maranello of Giuseppe Palomba, sat there also within that top 4.
Indeed. Well, the field now is lined up, ready to go. It's all down to the lights procedure, which is out already, and they're racing in the superheat in KZ, down in towards turn number 1. It's a lightning start for the front row, but keep an eye on the 2 at the front, going absolutely wheel to wheel. Pedro Hilbrand tries to go the long way around the outside. One of the Cup Republics is grinding to a halt on the exit.
Albanese.
It's Danilo Albanese from the second row of the grid, out of the race. The Italian goes no further in his superheat. The gloves are off already on him, and now he will have to reconvene and think what he can do tomorrow in that final. Down in towards turn number 5. It's a large train of drivers, but Bożel holds on to it for the time being. But Gustafsson's had drama with one of the Formula Ks, and now the Tony karts got involved as well. There's karts all over the place. I try to say if it wasn't going to happen, the same as what happened in the Masters, but it's happened again. Kremers is off the track and now fighting at the front. Still no change. Still Bożel leads the way from the rest, but look at Hiltbrand now going for the lead. Hiltbrand to the inside. The 2 nearly collide on the start-finish straight, and Hiltbrand goes through. Look at this 5-car breakaway from the rest of the field. Sarno van Walsteen on the outside makes contact with one of the Charles Leclerc chassis, and that, I think, is Daniel Vasile, who's out of the race, and so will be Sarno van Walsteen. Heavy damage to the front of that one. His NASA panel's gone. There is Daniel Vasile. He's broken and out of the race. And from 5 karts, it now only becomes 2 fighting at the front, because Sarno van Walsteen will see his NASA panels missing, and he'll have to retire that kart.
Bożel then, for the first time this weekend, has been challenged. Tried to tighten things up through turn number 9. The grip that was out there, though, he hopped all over the place, and that opened things up for Pedro Hiltbrand. Now he's going to be under pressure as the kart's behind. There's a change for P4. So Bożel does pick things up back again slightly, but he's not where we've seen him throughout this whole weekend, as Sarno van Walsteen then pulls into the pit lane. Of course, as you said, Anthony, that nose cone, that NASA panel, heavy damage. Victor Gustafsson trying to pick things back up, but potentially a bit of a wobbly back bumper bolted to the back of that CRG after that damage that's previously gone on when we saw that incident. Challenging once more, though, to the Tony Kart of front. That's Camplese, the number 15, being pushed around that first part of the circuit. Christian Vituka is your fastest driver out there on the track. He's a driver down in 12th position, so actually has a little bit of clean air. Talking of clean air, Pedro Hilbrand is now a second clear of anybody else in the field.
Indeed, but now with Spagel back into third place, he is going to retake that lead of the intermediate classification. When Spagel was down there in P4, he was absolutely fine, was Hilbrand. Hilbrand was leading the intermediate classification and would have been starting on pole position for the final tomorrow, crucially as well, claiming 25 championship points at the end of this race. But now that's going to go back the way of the likes of Mathieu Spagel, as Jean Nomblot, now the biggest mover in your race. In that opening stage where we did see a lot of drama again, unfortunately finds himself up 11 places. He's now inside the top 5, so he's in a really good spot here. But eyes focusing on this one. This is an important battle. Emilian Denner could make the difference between 25 championship points going towards Pedro Hilbrand or going towards Mathieu Spagel if he can get past. But at the moment, he is not finding his way past. He is just sitting there behind, and now that Spagel's getting into his rhythm, he's doing what he was doing earlier on, which is at the front, breaking away, but this time he's now in third, closing in on Palomba and Hilbrand.
Gustafsson still shadowing around the Tony Kart in front of him of Salento as they head out of turn number 9, and this is a race replay then. So busy stuff. Gustafsson, the rear end actually gets caught, so they go bumper to back bumper actually going through the corner, and then we get the Tony Kart just gets mounted on top. See the dust that also gets flicked over the track. Those drivers really lucky to not pick up too much dirt on their tyres when heading into the next corner. Another angle of it. These drivers, just victims, passengers in this incident. There's nowhere for them to go, especially on a track that's so fast. Yeah,
indeed. I feel really bad there for Mike Kramer's. Absolutely nowhere he could go, and yeah, big drama. Then there was this moment here as well. So Hilbrand down the inside. There you see Palomba going to the inside line, but keep an eye on Senna and then Daniel Vasile. Now Vasile's gone to the inside, unfortunately. It's just, well, again, that's from that angle, it doesn't look like there was anything. This angle might say a little bit more, so you can see how wide Van Wolstein is. The gap is clearly open there for Vasile to go to the inside, but yeah, it just slides into the side, But the track, but obviously that turn does narrow, it closes in on them. And yeah, unfortunately for Senna and Wolstein, I mean, he kept it going, but he knows that kart had too much damage and he wasn't going to be able to do anything. Down the inside, action happening further down. Christian Vituka getting past Lorenzo Camplese there. That's going to put him up into P8 now on the charge through the field as Hilbrand sets the fastest lap of the race. He's breaking away from Palomba. That gap is now 1.6 seconds. Mathieu Spagel is still in a close fight, though, with the likes of Jean Nomblot. Jean Nomblot, who's now up into P4. There he goes. He could be the one now to pile on the pressure to Spagel. Now, if Nomblot gets past his fellow teammate, he could take 25 championship points away from his teammate.
Okay, this is the question then, Anthony. At what stage do maybe team tactics come into things? Because we don't want to see Spagel suffer too much of a points loss if he is demoted and swaps position for Jean Nomblot. But of course, Nomblot, after those poor results, after those DNFs, incidences with the likes of Victor Gustafsson in heat number 1, he's going to need every point that he can gather for both his final starting position and championship. Challenges going on once more, coming down the start, finish straight into turn number 1. No change yet between Spagel and Nomblot, but Nomblot, you can tell by the way he's driving, he's absolutely pushing forward. He's taming all of that torque that's being generated, putting it to the tarmac, and just really transferring as much speed and grip as you can into a gain in place, a gain in pace compared to his teammates. While Spagel sat there in third position. I don't know now, Anthony, I don't know if we look at the timing screens, are they gaining to Giuseppe Palomba for that second position?
Well, you'll have to look at the sector times for that one.
They are faster.
And, yeah, no, very fractionally, but yes, they are indeed faster. They're taking a good tenth or so per sector, actually, between the drivers in front. So maybe we could see some teamwork here between the two Sony Kart drivers as they push their way forward to Giuseppe Palomba in second place. But the question still remains, does Jean Nomblot go for the move on his teammate, knowing that any overtake will benefit him? going into that final later on, because he's already 8th into the points. Another position gain, he would move up to at least 7th in the points. So again, every single overtake he does helps him out when it comes to that final. He knows he's been quick, he knows he's been getting through this field in the early stages, so if he can start a race in 7th place and not for the back of the grid, he might find himself, when it comes to that final, actually fighting right at the front.
Well, gear changes available between turns 8 and 9 then, really helping these drivers to accelerate out of the corners and get through turn 9 quickly through this newer part of the circuit, that chicane section that leads over the bump and back onto the start-finish straight. And now what have the two Sodi karts done? They have caught up to Giuseppe Palomba considerably. Watch Spagel now into turn number 3, and he's closed that gap right up. He's sat right on his back bumper. He's almost pushing him around at this stage. And don't count out Noblo because he sat there as well. They head out of turn number 3, meets the white line, through turn number 4 to run down to the fastest part of this circuit, topping out at speeds of around 145 kilometers an hour. Turn number 5, they stop the car abruptly. This is a hot spot for the drivers to overtake, but Spagel is not close enough just yet. They'll head out and towards turn number 6, 7, and 8, and now it really is 3-kart battle for second position.
It certainly is. That's a big moment there for Jean Nombla. He's lost out on loads of time there. I think he just hit a curb too much or something happened, but look, he was right on that rear bumper of Matteo Spagel, and now Spagel has lost his rear gunner to help push him through past the likes of Giuseppe Palomba. 3 now become 2. But I suspect he might be able to close in a little bit more. Heavy under braking there. There is Spagel right on that rear bumper of Giuseppe Palomba. If he's going to go for a move, it will be on this lap. He knows he's not going to catch up to Pedro Hilbrand. He is clear by 3.5 seconds further up the road. Jean Nomblom's got problems though. Nomblom is tumbling down the order. He's broken down. Jean Nomblom is out of the race. Once again, he had mechanical dramas earlier on in the weekend. He's done it again. He's pushed his way through the field and now finds himself broken and out of the race. And it had to have been that moment there. Did he miss a gear? Did something break on his kart when he was exiting out of turn number 7 on that previous lap, because he saw how much pace he just dropped off the back of it, and now he's broken and out of it, so he's got no rear gunner behind him, and Spagel is clear to stay in 3rd place. He doesn't need to attack here on Giuseppe Palomba. He will still be on pole position for that final tomorrow. He will still gain the 25 championship points that he needs to try and close in on Pedro Hilbrand, who leads the championship standings at the moment. But right now, I just don't think he's going to have the legs here to get this overtake done. He's shown great pace earlier on with his racing. Never lost out on a race earlier on, did the Frenchman. But now finds himself in 3rd place and thinking he doesn't want to do anything. Here, though, we've not said much about him. Pedro Hilbrand, the current championship leader, the Spaniard, who has not won a race so far this weekend, is now going to see the last lap board in the lead of this race, and he is clear by 3.7 seconds from the rest of this field. Here, though, the battle for 2nd place, Palomba and Spagel still rages on, but he's not going to find a way through. Palomba takes the tighter line through turn number 2. He holds the defensive posture. Spagel will not find a way through at turn number 3. He'll have to stay behind. He'll have to assess the situation and think where's going to be the best possible place to get this done. We have seen time in and time out of overtakes down here at turn number 5. He takes the check over the shoulder, and now you see the defensive posture. Palomba takes the tighter line. Spagel goes to the outside line here to try and carry the speed through, but this time has not found the gap. I thought he was going to go for the move there at turn number 7. There was the gap there, but it slammed closed quickly from Palomba, and I think the message has sunk in for Matteo Spagel. Yes, okay, it's not a win, but you're still going to start on pole. Hilbrand claims his first win of the weekend. Palomba takes 2nd. Spagel in 3rd will secure pole position for the final, and will have the 25 championship points go to the Frenchman's way. Pedro Hilbrand, with that win, does secure a front row start for the final tomorrow. But for right now, he can celebrate with his first win on track this weekend. The Spaniard still leads the way in the championship standings, but has got the rival now of Mateo Spergel in his first year in KZ Racing after he steps up from KZ2. Hiltbrand wins then from Giuseppe Palomba, Mateo Spergel from Emilian Denner, Christian Bartuca from Victor Gustafsson, Francesco Celenta from Lorenzo Camplese, Tom Loyer from Giorgio Bassoli, Quinton Viola rounds out the 11 karts that finished that race with a 6th place gain. Jean Nomblon, drama for him. Amazingly, despite himself retiring, still has a 4th place gain in that race to finish in P12. Senna van Wallstein, Daniel Vasile, Daniel Albanese, David Treveloff and Martin Kramers all out of the race in the opening stages of it. There you can see, unfortunately, the broken karts there of Danilo Albanese, who started on the 2nd row of the grid for this superheat in P3. Unfortunately, finds himself broken right at the start of that race, and had to take that kart back to the drawing board. And tomorrow is a new day in that final. The same can be said for Martin Kramers, who was an unfortunate retirement in the early stages of that race. There you can see Daniel Vasile's kart just getting pulled onto the recovery trailer. There is Pedro Hiltbrand. Job is done. That is a good end to his day. His first win of the weekend, and does secure a front row start for the final, but does lose out on maximum championship points, but still gains great points nonetheless at the end of the qualifying heats and superheats phase. Here the look at the highlights, and as you see, going down in towards turn number 1, lightning quick reactions from both drivers, but it was Spergel who broke away right at the start of that one. Hiltbrand would have to slot into 2nd place. Palomba was 3rd from the word go. He got a good jump there on Danilo Albanese. Obviously, drama did happen for Danilo right at the word go, and I think just here at the start, you can see, yeah, gets his front run over, and I think it just broke something. Maybe the throttle cable was just ripped off there from that contact. Then you had the Gustafsson moment as well off the track with David Treveloff, and that unfortunately in turn caused Martin Kramers to retire from the race as well. No fault of Kramers there, just had nowhere to go, and yeah, you can see David Treveloff not happy at all there with Victor Gustafsson, who amazingly was able to recover pretty well in that race. Actually, was Gustafsson, still gained 6 places in that race, despite that drama right at the beginning of it. Then this one ensued. Hiltbrand down the inside of Spergel, Palomba getting through as well, but keep an eye on Senna van Wallstein and Daniel Vasile. Vasile down the inside, the back steps out, it clips the rear wheel of Senna van Wallstein. It looks far more dramatic than I think it actually was. Heavy damage though to Senna van Wallstein's kart, the NASA panel torn off in that incident, and I'll tell you what, Mateo Spergel was very, very lucky there not to get caught out in that very same incident. You could see he was diving out of the way, nearly took to the runoff there to avoid any contact between himself and his fellow teammate Senna van Wallstein, who unfortunately did retire from that race. More happenings further down the order. You can see the big lunges here once again for Victor Gustafsson on that charge back. You can see the heavy damage to his rear quarter there. That rear bumper bent up on one side after that moment with David Treveloff. We'll leave you with these highlights though on your screen, but let's head down to Parc Fermé. Nicole Sutherland, it's over to you.
Down in Parc Fermé, like you just said, Anthony, with our race winner of Pedro Hiltbrand. Pedro, we saw dominant pace from you in Valencia. It's taken a day or two to get things together and win for you. Why has it taken so long?
Well, I mean, since this year, everything came better, engine, chassis. I feel really, really great. From Valencia, we found something, and also here we have the speed. Obviously, qualifying, starting P2 is really important, the start as always. Not my best, but I mean, we have the pace. Also, Matteo is really strong. Palomba is there, everyone knows. So let's see tomorrow. We have more points for the championship, but at the end, the final is tomorrow, so let's bring it home.
And until that superheat, Matteo's actually been unstoppable this weekend. Was it tactical by you to get past him early on, or did it just kind of fall into place?
Nah, not to be honest. He did a really good 3 stars, even now in the superheat. But to be honest, from qualifying through the heats, I missed a little bit of pace, but we found it on the last heat, and now we make it happen now. So let's hope tomorrow is the same feeling.
Well, more points on the board for you, Pedro. Well done. And now we'll speak to Matteo, who of course is your driver, who'll be starting on pole tomorrow for the final. We'll get Matteo to come over once more. Matteo, pole for tomorrow's final. Good results, good points on the board for you. But in that race, actually, it looked a bit more challenging than what you've had for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, now with new tires we lost a bit of pace. So yeah, we have to see what went wrong to see for tomorrow. But yeah, I'm confident.
And the race starts, you said in your previous interview, that's something that's really going to come into play. Heading into tomorrow's final, what's the tactic, Matteo?
Yeah, I don't know. There is no tactic. I will see on the moment. I will do my best at the start, all the race, and yeah, we'll see.
Well, great to hear from you once more. Good luck for tomorrow's racing. We'll head back up then to Anthony Jordan in the commentary box to hear about what we can expect tomorrow from our KZ2s, our KZ2 Masters, and our KZs.
Thank you very much, Nicole Sutherland down there in Parc Ferme. Yes, indeed, it will be a relatively busy day tomorrow. 5 races in total, and then it'll be starting with the KZ2s for their superheats. It'll be Superheat 1, then Superheat 2 taking it to the track. First thing in the morning, later on in that weekend, you'll see them at 10:30 in the morning for Superheat 1. Then it'll be Superheat 2 for the KZ2s. After that, we have the lunch break, and then we'll be going into the last 3 races, the finals. All of them, 18 laps in race length. KZ2 Masters kickstarting that one off at 1:45. Then it will be KZ2 at 2:45. And then KZ final will round out the day at 2:45 local time here in Italy. We certainly look forward to that one. From myself, Anthony Jordan, and Nicole Sutherland, we will see you bright and early for finals day for the MondoKart.com FIA Karting European Championships. Goodbye for now.